Talk about how this Russia scandal is resonating in the heartland. We have a trio of Pulitzer Prize winners with us tonight. Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson, whose latest column is headlined, "Donald Jr.'s Meeting is a Legal Game Changer." We'll talk about why. Also, presidential historian, author, biographer of Jefferson, Jackson, FDR, Churchill, and most recently Bush 41, John Meacham. And we continue to welcome to the broadcast Connie Schultz, nationally syndicated columnist who joins us from her hometown, Cleveland, Ohio. Normally, they don't let three Pulitzer winners appear together, but because they're geographically separated, they allowed it just this once. So, Connie, you get to start off in a state with interesting politics, an interesting Republican governor, a no-show at the GOP convention that Cleveland hosted, a never-Trumper who's pushing his own agenda and very involved in health care. How deep, how resilient, as you see it, is the Trump base in Ohio?
Well, it depends on how, in my experience, my recent experience, it depends on how you talk to Trump supporters. The one thing they don't want to be ashamed or embarrassed for their support for him. I find the Quinnipiac numbers kind of interesting because I am talking to more of them than I ever have before. I think maybe because they think I want to hear it. There's a certain percentage of that base that Trump is never going to lose. Most of the anxiety I see in Ohio, certainly there's a lot of conversation about Russia, but there is so much anxiety about health care. And that is everywhere. It's if I'm at the drugstore, if I'm at the grocery store. I had a loved one in the hospital recently, and so I was talking to a lot of medical providers and patients. There is such a heightened anxiety about what is going to happen in healthcare that seems to be overwhelming. The doctors are telling me they're getting more patients coming in with anxiety and with depression. So I don't know what to make of these Trump supporters, but I will tell you this, that I'm not going to sit here and mock them for their support. I wrote a column a few months ago saying I wish they would try to understand people like me who didn't vote for him, and a man made a really good point. He said, you know what, lady? You get a forum every week in my newspaper, and nobody's listening to me. And I've been listening and learning a lot more since I got that letter.
Eugene, imagine what the dynamic Connie's talking about, an uptick in the need for health care because of the anxiety caused by the uncertain future of health care. Is there a ceiling or a floor for this Trump support? Is there a tipping point, do you think? I know you're asked this all the time.
Well, you know, do you want me to say what I think in terms of the normal laws of political physics?
You're the Pulitzer winner.
Well, yeah, but those don't seem to apply anymore. And so I'm actually not sure. I mean, I think Connie is right that there is a certain percentage that Donald Trump may never lose. And it's been remarkably consistent. And it's not just that those people want to annoy the likes of me and those of us who supposedly live inside the unreal bubble, although, you know, his overall approval ratings are fluctuating between 36% and 40%. And his disapproval overall, including Democrats and independents, is about 55 to 58%. So that's a big bubble. Yeah. You know, what's inside the bubble is bigger than what's outside the bubble. But that's not to minimize, you know, the fact that a lot of people voted for Donald Trump. A lot of people put a lot of hopes in him and are going to wait to see if those hopes can be fulfilled.
John, I asked to see you this evening because, like millions of Americans, I follow you on Twitter, and there you were yesterday with a little extra snap on your Tennessee fastball. You wrote this: wondering if Vice President Pence has ever heard of Robert Hartman. He's the guy who handled the Richard Nixon Ford transition, wrote our long national nightmare speech. Go into some detail, John. What possessed you to grab your phone and put out that?
Well, first of all, I think you get credit for not making a joke about if you have three Pulitzer winners and one light bulb to screw in, you know, what happens. So I want to thank you on behalf of the panel. I think that when the president's son puts out a trail of emails that refers to a Russian effort to help the Trump campaign as a kind of natural part of an email, it's a moment that if I were the vice president, I might start thinking a little bit about the end drama here. Think about it. We may be in Act 2, but there's probably going to be an Act 5. And so I did want to mention Bob Hartman in his great book, Palace Politics, which is a great Washington memoir. Connie said she didn't want to make fun of people who support Trump. I will, just for a second.
You're not living with them, clearly.
Well, no, I live in a state. No. I live in a state where 92 out of 95 counties voted for Trump.
Oh, okay. I take it back.
And 63%. But and not making fun, but I do think that the Republican Party right now, the only way I can explain that 85% as a rational matter is they have Stockholm Syndrome. They sold their souls in many ways for victory with this man who came in and swamped a field of very traditional candidates that included governors and senators. And they are trapped in this really kind of tragic embrace. The question, to my mind, the answer to the question about the tipping point is there needs to be a 2 in front of his overall approval rating. And I think at that point, people in that 85% may come down. But we live in as you just said, we live in 2 very different countries right now. And you only have to look at these poll numbers for data to support that.
We're going to fit in a break. The panel's going to stay with us when we come out. When we come back, we'll give out John Meacham's email address. Just kidding. Our conversation continues right after this.
Mom? I have to tell you something.
Dad. 1 second I was driving, and then the next...
They just didn't stop, and then... I'm really sorry.
I wrecked the Subaru. You wrecked it. You're okay. That's all that matters.
A lifetime commitment to getting them home safely. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
It's IHOP's 59th anniversary, and this July 18th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we're celebrating with short stacks of buttermilk pancakes for just 59 cents. Because there ain't no party like a pancake party. IHOP, eat up every moment.
You totaled your brand new car. Nobody's hurt, but there will still be pain. It comes when your insurance company says they'll only pay 3/4 of what it takes to replace it. What are you supposed to do, drive 3/4 of a car? Now, if you had Liberty Mutual new car replacement, you'd get your whole car back. I guess they don't want you driving around on 3 wheels. Smart.
With Liberty Mutual new car replacement, we'll replace the full value of your car. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
You think you've already found your ideal hotel? Well, before you book, check on Trivago to see if you can find it somewhere else for an even better price. Hotel Trivago.
You were made to move, to progress, to not just accept what you see, but imagine something new. At Invisalign, we use the most advanced teeth straightening technology to help you find the next amazing version of yourself. It's time to unleash your secret weapon. It's there, right under your nose. Get to your best smile up to 50% faster. Visit
You thought that bandage would protect me? See the new skin over there? How could you not know it's the flexible liquid bandage? It seals out bad stuff like water and dirt. Hey, there's a spray, too.
New skin. Apply, seal, heal.
I need new struts for my 2010 Chevy. Let me see struts by AC Delco, KYB, and any under $50.
We might be able to get some struts from the warehouse.
Why watch the counterman tap on his computer and hope he chooses the right part? Go to rockauto.com. Auto and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. Choose the brands, prices, and features you want. Auto parts at the lowest price. Conveniently delivered to your home or business.
All the parts your car will ever need, Rock Auto.
Your toes will love her.
Use Carousel on your toenail fungus and everyone notices the difference. Carousel starts making a visible difference on your toenails in just 1 week. See the 1 week difference with Carousel.
Awesome toes. Can we borrow your carousel?
Hey, you need this bed.
And welcome back to our broadcast. Our panel, 3 Pulitzer Prize recipients remaining with us: Eugene Robinson, John Meacham, Connie Schultz. And Connie, as long as we're doing hometown news, there you are in Cleveland. Full disclosure, we should tell our viewers who don't know, you happen to be married to U.S. Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio. But let's talk about Ohio and your governor, John Kasich. Badly wanted the job last time around, has carved an interesting road for himself, is now partnering with at least one other governor on health care. Do you think this is how he's going to carve a run for what remains of that slice of the used to be the rock rib center of the Republican Party?
I don't think there's any question. He denies it all the time, but we all know how that works. And when you see how outspoken he's been and how his message is resonating, and he's getting some support from a number of Democrats. I mean, it's not just Republicans who are wandering in the wilderness wondering what happened to their party. I've often said about John Kasich, I mean, I like him personally, but we don't agree much politically. I don't normally think of him as a moderate, but I understand how he can appear to be one in contrast to this man that currently resides in the White House.
And John Meacham, for your state of Tennessee, to Connie's first point, the anxiety that the subject of health care, the future of health care, is causing.
Absolutely. It's a state that's prosperous in pockets, but not so prosperous in others. Very Republican over the last 30 years. When I was growing up, it was the congressional delegation was 7-2 Democratic. Now it's flipped entirely. We have 2 sane and sensible senators, and they are hearing a lot from a lot of people about worries about repealing and replacing Obamacare. It's a bumper sticker without a plan behind it, and I think is a real fear around the state and around the South.
And Eugene, because it's germane, you're visiting New York from Washington tonight, but what does it feel like in the capital city? It
like insanity every day. We feel as if we just take another step into uncharted territory. It feels, the White House always feels as if it's at the center of things in Washington, as it should, but it feels as if there is not a functional White House at the center of things, not a White House that can legislate, that can even propose policy, not a White House that's on top of things. Fortunately, the national security apparatus seems to be intact, especially with General Mattis, but there's a sense of vacuum there, frankly, and every report out of the White House is of backbiting and chaos, and I've never seen it like this.
Again, our thanks to our team of 3 Pulitzer recipients, a team so good there will undoubtedly be calls to break it up. Eugene Robinson, John Meacham, Connie Schultz, thank you all for being with us. Coming up after our final break, on top of everything else, is the president being accused of